नामामीश्वरं सच्चिदानन्दरूपं लसत्कुण्डलं कुले व्रजमानम् यशोदाभियोलुक परामृष्टया ततो धृतया रुधं ते मोतो नेत्रं युगममृजान्तं करं भोजयुगमेन साताकनेत्रम् मुहुस्वासकाम्पः त्रिरेखारकान्ता स्थिताग्रेव दामोदर भक्तिबन्दे नामामीश्वरं सच्चिदानन्दरूपं लसत्कुण्डलं गोकुले व्रजमानम् इदिति सलिलभि आनन्दकुन्दे स्वघोषणीमाजन्तम् आख्यापयन्तम् तदीयेषिता जनु भक्तिजीवात्वं पुनः प्रेमना त्वां सतवृत्तिवन्दे वरं देवमोक्ष न मोक्षमरीवं न च न विरेहां वरदियपीह इदं ते वपुर्नाथ गोपालबालं सदा मे मनश्यावि सात्किमन्ये नामामीश्वरं सच्चिदानन्दरूपं लसत्कुण्डलं गोकुले व्रजमानम् इदं ते मुखं भुजम् आव्यक्तनीरे वृतं कुन्तले स्निग्धः राक्षातगोप्य मुहुचुम्बितं बिम्बराक्तधरा मे मनसा विरालं लाक्षाभरेयम् नमो देवदामोदरानन्त विष्णु प्रसीद प्रभु दुःख जालातिमार्यम् कृपा दृष्टिवृष्यति दीनं वदातु क्रियाशेमनाजन्ति आक्षाभरेशम् नामामीश्वरं सच्चिदानन्दरूपं लसत्कुण्डलं गोकुल कुबेरामजो बधो मूत्रव्ययात्पत् त्वामोचति मा भक्तिः बाजो कृतो च तथा प्रेम भक्तिं स्वकमे प्रयाचे न मोक्षे ग्रामो अस्ति दामोदरेरम् नमस्ते स्तुदाम्ने स्फुरदीप्तिदाम्ने त्वदीयाधरायास्तः विश्वस्य धाम्ने नमो राधिकायै त्वदीया प्रियायै नमो राधिकायै त्वदीया प्रियायै नमो नन्तलीलाया देवाय तु नामामीश्वरं सच्चिदानन्दरूपं लसत्कुण्डलं गोकुले व्रजमानम् जय राधा दामोदर राधे जय राधा Damodara Radha, Damodara Radha. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Sorry for that. Sa. Just need to.
Jai, beautiful. Thank you. Thank you, Shobhi. Beautiful. Jai Shishi Guru Garanga Ganhavika Giridhari. Radha Madan Mohan Ju Ki Jai. Radha Vinod Vihari Ju Ki Jai. Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarazara Shishimat. Shila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarazara Shishimat. Shila Bhakti Vedanta Bhamana Maharaj Goswami Ki Jai. Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarazara Shishimat. Shila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Shila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarazara Shishimat. Shila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Jagat Guru Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarazara Shishimat. Shila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Paramahamsa Shila Gorkishore Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Shila Bhakti Vinod Saptam Goswami Shila Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Rasik Sirumani Shila Vishnath Chakravarti Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Narottam Srinivas Shyamananda Prabhu Treya Ki Jai. Jai Shila Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami Ki Jai. Jai Shri Rup Sanatan Shri Bhata Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopal Bhakta Dasa Raghunath Sad Goswami Prabhu's Ki Jai. Jai Swarup Damodar Rai Ramananda Gauda Prasad Ki Jai. Jai Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Prem Sika Holsi Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Shri Gauda Bhakta Vrinda. Shri Antadvit Mayapur Simantadvit Gautundvit Madhyadvit Koladvit Ritudvit Janadvit Motandvit Rudvit Apkanavadvit Dham Ki Jai. Badaravan Bandidavan Belvan Lohavan Mahavan Madhuvan Bahulavan, Madhuvan, Talvan, Bahulavan, Kumudvan, Vrindavan, Kadyavan, Kamivan, Brajamandal Ki Jai. Shishi Radha Krishna Gopa Gopi Gopavardhan Vadasavar Matmika Shri Brajamandal Ki Jai. Shamakun Radha Kun Giri Govardhana Ki Jai. Purnamasi Devi Yogamaya Maharani Ki Jai. Vrinda Devi Maharani Ki Jai. Gopeshwar Mahadev Ki Jai. Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Sadashan Chakra Ki Jai. Ketra Mandal Ki Jai. Sarva Vigna Vinasakari Shina Shingadev Bhagavan Ki Jai. Bhakta Prabha Shri Prahlad Maharaj Ki Jai. Charidam Ki Jai. Chari Sampradaya Ki Jai. Chari Acharya Ki Jai. Akaramat Raj Shri Chaitanya Mat Ki Jai. Shri Keshav Shri Gaudiya Mat Ki Jai. Grantaraj Shrimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Ananta Kota Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Samagata Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Gold Vrinda. Hari Hari Bol.
Thank you, Maharaj, for Jai Dwani. Dear devotees, firstly, offer my humble obeisances at the divine lotus feet of my Gurupad Padmas, Nitilila Pravish, Om Vishnupada, Sotra Sat, Shishima Shila Bhakti, Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, and at the same time, my Guru Maharaj, Nitilila Pravish, Om Vishnupada, Stotra Sat, Shishima Shila Bhakti, Jivan Acharya Goswami Maharaj, and Nitilila Pravish, Om Vishnupada, Stotra Sat, Shishima Shila Bhakti Vedantas, Swami Maharaj Shila Prabhupada, the entire Rupanuga Guru Varga, Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis, headed by our Tridandipad Bhaktivedanta Vaikanas Maharaj and Bhaktivedanta Tridandi Maharaj. So we are, can you believe that we're nearly halfway? Actually, we're going to be halfway tomorrow. And I can't believe that the time's just flown by so quickly and just so amazingly. I thought that I wouldn't be able to last for this long, but it's just been such an amazing Harikatha and amazing programs connecting us really to Gurudev and our Guru Varga. So I'm very, very fortunate, and I think all the listeners here are also very fortunate to be able to do that from wherever they are. So today we are technically on a rest day in Govardhan. Today normally because we would have done Ekadasi and I've done a small parikrama around yesterday. So today is a rest day in the mutt. So we would be in Giridhari Gaudiya Mutt in our beautiful temple and listening to Srila Gurudev speak on Damodarashtakam, this beautiful song written by Muni, which just explores so much depth. And we're going to be really fortunate today to hear from both Sripad Bhaktivedanta Tridani Maharaj and Sripad Bhaktivedanta Vivekananda Maharaj to dive deep into verse 1, because we've got 8 rest days and 8 verses to go through. So we've got plenty of time today, and the next 7 rest days to go through this beautiful, beautiful Kirtan and poem that he's written, and the depth that he goes into. So, without further ado, without any hesitation, please, Margis, take it away. I won't disturb you anymore. Hari Hari Bol.
Thank you, Sodari. Thank you, Sodari. Guruve Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadale Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tara Bhaktaya Namo Namaha. First of all, offering millions of Dandavat pranams, lotus feet of my beloved Gurudev, Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarasara Shishimat, Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayana Goswami Maharaj. And the same again, millions and millions of times unto the lotus feet of our beloved, Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarasara Shishimat, Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. And all our divine Rupanuga Guru Varg, and all the Vaishnava and Vaishnavi devotees of the Lord, my Dandavat pranams. Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhavayavacha, Paditanam Pavnibhyo, Vaishnavebhyo, Namo Namaha. So yes, Kartik means Damodarashtakam. Every day of Kartik, we offer a lamp and we chant this beautiful Astakam, and it carries us through amazing conceptions. We start in Dasya, we move to Vatsalya, and we culminate in Madhurya Ras. This is the dynamic, the power of this remarkable Astakam. But for a moment, we should appreciate its origin. Its origin is, there is no origin, ultimately. It's an eternal Astakam. Param Gurudev, he's saying in his preface, this prayer is Nitya Siddha, which means eternally perfect. And he also says in another place that this Damodar Ashtakam is eternal. So to appreciate its eternal, it was actually composed by Satyabrat Muni, who heard this or composed this Ashtakam after he had spent so much time with Matsya Avatar in the 8th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. It's described in the Chakshush Manvantara, the Manvantara before this Vaivashvatu Manu Manvantara, where we are now, that Satyabrat Muni was being pulled on that enormous boat through the ocean, the ocean that has inundated the world. So Matsya Avatar was with Satyabrat Muni for a long period of time, and many rishis and sages. And because this Astakam is eternal, it would have descended into his heart, and then he manifested it. It's Satyabrat Muni has manifested it. So if it's eternal, it's manifested previously. So we can understand the nature of this eternality is that when this universe winds up, then Krishna's roadshow, so to speak, immediately transports itself to another universe, and again and again and again. So in that sense, this Astakam is constantly being chanted and being praised and glorified. The actual description by Vyasadeva in Srimad Bhagavatam was inspired in his heart by Narad. We understand that prior to his meeting with Narad at Samyaprash Ashram on the banks of the Saraswati River, when he was feeling despondency, Narad appears. And Narad inspires his heart in chapter 7 of the first canto. There's 3 chapters describing about Narad and his conversation with Vyasadeva, but in chapter 7 is at the beginning, it's described how Vyasadeva was illuminated within his heart with a spurti, with a vision of the entire 10th canto. Previous to this, Vyasadeva was not aware of these pastimes in Braj. This Madhurya mood was not known to Vyasadeva even. It was inspired by Narad from Lord Brahma into his heart to give us this Srimad Bhagavatam. So this pastime that's described in the 9th chapter of the 10th canto is not actually exactly the same as the Astakam. The Astakam is the Leela is described in the 9th canto, but this Astakam has its own speciality because it's moving through different bhavs, different stages of appreciation for the sadhak's journey in the form of Satyabrat Muni's sentiments towards Balagopal, towards Gopal, and his heart unfolding in deeper and deeper affection and attraction. So I want to spend time reading the Sanatan Goswami's Tika on this, and we have the Bhavavanubad in our Damodarashtakam book, because I can read it and understand it, but when I actually speak these same words, I think it will have much more potency if we hear the words directly spoken by Sanatan Goswami. So in the beginning of this Astakam, so that's something of a, by the way, to just confirm this, in the 8th canto, it's described about Satyabrat Muni. In the 8th canto, in the 24th chapter, in the 58th verse, you can read that Satyabrat Muni, he becomes the son of the sun god. He becomes, the sun god is Vivishwan. So in his next birth, Satyabrat Muni takes birth as Vaivashvatu Manu, the son of Vivishwan. In this Manvantara, Satyabrat Muni has developed such a desire to directly witness this Dambanda Leela. He wants to, his heart has become so filled with this mood, he wants to see directly. And the only moment in the whole day of Lord Brahma when this pastime is manifest is in the 7th Manvantara, where we are now. We are now in this 7th Manvantara, in the 28th Kali Yuga of this age. And so Vaivashvatu Manu, he's the Manu of this age, and he's able to witness directly in Dwapara Yuga the pastime of Mother Yashoda directly binding Krishna. So this is the pastime that we have described by Vyasadeva in the 10th canto. But the Astakam is showing us a more significant mood of this pastime. It's taking us through these escalating moods of ecstasy that the sadhak, Satyabrat Muni, previously was experiencing when he was writing this, when this was crafted by him. We see the verses, they go through a progression, and they culminate by even calling out to Sri Radhika in the 8th verse. So in the 1st verse, though, this is most significant and most wonderful to appreciate. This Namam Ishvaram, Sat Chit Ananda Rupam. This is like his Mangalacharyan. Just this one line is his Mangalacharyan. And it's very significant the way that Sanatan Goswami opens this out. So he describes at the beginning, I'm reading from page 6. If you have this beautiful book at the beginning, it's describing, after offering obeisances to the Supreme Controller, Sri Damodar, accompanied by Sri Radha, this explanation of Sri Damodar Astakam, known as Digdarshani, the insight that guides us towards the inner meaning, is herewith presented. So this is being presented by Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj. But these are actually the words of Sanatan Goswami in the Tika. He says, with the intention of making his prayer, Satyabrat Muni first offers his devoted obeisances to Bhagavan Sri Krishna with the word Namami. So understand what's happening. Satyabrat Muni is going to erect such a palace of Rasik conceptions. It needs to be built on a very solid, firm foundation of Tattva Vichar, or the Siddhanta, in the glorification of who is that Supreme Lord. Ultimately, or the who is Shaktiman. So this is the first appreciation, this Namami, which invokes auspiciousness. He offers his obeisances by extolling Sri Krishna's supremacy through descriptions pertaining to his speciality of his tattva. We have to have the tattva vichar conclusively there initially before we go into the lila and the esoterics, etc. I'll just continue. Thus, Sri Satyabrat Muni declares the unique supremacy manifested by Sri Krishna in Gokul to be the very essence of eternity of Godhead. So he's making this proclamation, right? Who is that Ishvara? Then he says, Sanatana Goswami first discusses. Herein he relates Satyabrat Muni's thoughts. To whom am I offering obeisances? To Ishvara, the supreme controller. And this Ishvara is described in three escalating appreciations. The first is Sarva Shaktiman, the possessor of all potencies. Sarva means possessor, and Shaktiman, that personality who possesses this potency. This is Ishvara, Namam Ishvara. Then the second is Jagat Ekanath, the sole Lord of the entire world. So now it's more focused. Ishvara is somewhat broad. Now the Lord is becoming more focused in this second line, this second description of him, this Jagat Ekanath. And then Nija Prabhu, my own dear master. Now it's come to a very personal conception. My own dear master, I'm offering my obeisances to that Ishvara. So this Ishvara conception has escalated just through these three terminologies, we can say, or descriptions. Sarva, all. Shaktiman, all of the Ishvara is there. And then Jagat Ekanath, this sole Lord. And then my Prabhu, Nija Prabhu. So then he continues, Sri Satyabrat Muni seeks the potency to offer prayers in glorification of Sri Bhagavan, the Supreme Lord. The second facet, the sole Lord of the entire world, conveys that Ishvara is alone the topmost worshipable and praiseworthy Lord. So without this conclusive establishing the tattva, then the lila is not going to be as deep. Srila Gurudev would always describe that the tattva is like the horse and the lila is like the rider. But we have to appreciate right at the beginning of this astakam the nature of the horse of the tattva, where we're going to seat the rider of the lila. So he continues, how is Ishvara manifest? Addressing this question, Sri Satyabrat Muni says, Ishvara is manifest as the beautiful form of concentrated, pure, eternal existence, full knowledge and unlimited bliss. This Sat Chit Ananda Rupam, Namam Ishwaram Sat Chit Ananda Rupam. These are the first lines of this astakam. Thus the sage has explained the unrivaled supremacy of Sri Krishna, the object of his prayers, by narrating special, profound tattva underlying his identity. So this tattva of who is Ishvara. Now he immediately goes into the lila, because in the prayer that we sing, Namam Ishwaram Satchit Ananda Rupam, and then Lasat Kundalam Gokule Brajamanam, immediately we're jumping into the Lasat Kundalam, which means on whose cheeks these beautiful earrings are frolicking, it's described, and being kissed by these cheeks. So immediately we're entering the Leela. So now this is sufficient tattva to support the entire Astakam, which is quite remarkable. Now we come into the beauty aspect. Sri Satyabrat Muni shows the exceptional supremacy of Sri Krishna by describing the unique beauty of his form. We understand in Jaiva Dhamma, it's related that there are 6 qualities of Bhagavan. And the first quality, the Angi, is beauty. Beauty is the most powerful quality of all the 6 qualities. It's the Angi. From the beauty comes strength, fame, and opulence. These are the next level of opulences coming from Bhagavan. And then the last 2 are not directly personal. This is vairagya, renunciation, and knowledge. These are not direct personal aspects. This is described in chapter 13 of Jaiva Dhamma. These 6 qualities, Bhagavan. And the first is Angi, beauty. Beauty is the most attractive feature. Krishna is attractive to everyone, and it's his beauty that is captivating. Beauty is so powerful. It's the most powerful of all Krishna's opulences. Fame, strength, and opulences are secondary, so to speak. And thirdly is knowledge and renunciation. Knowledge and renunciation are not direct personal qualities. Knowledge you can find in a library. And renunciation is somewhat of a negative idea. So they're not, they don't have personal features to them in a sense. But beauty is really resonating powerfully. And my Gurudev, in his commentary, which Pujapat Bhakti by Canis Maharaj will speak on, he really picks up on this beauty aspect and quotes many, many verses about Krishna's beauty, which will be very beautiful to hear. So, describing his unique beauty in his form, he describes how his earrings are swinging, lasat kundalam, because he is running away from his mother, Sri Yashoda, out of fear, or else because of his nature to always make transcendental childish mischief due to unceasing restlessness. Makara-shaped earrings constantly swing near his cheeks and seem to be playing there. In this way, the sage describes the speciality of the extraordinary splendor of Sri Krishna's wonderful face. I can remember listening to my Gurudev speaking this katha for 19 years in a row. I was fortunate to attend the Brajmandal Prikrama, and every single year, Srila Gurudev would speak. And sometimes it would seem that he was just repeating himself. But for the listener goes through new stages of appreciation and consciousness. So even if it's being repeated by the speaker, the listener is going to get fresher and fresher realizations by hearing it again and again, because it's an eternal astakam. It doesn't have an end to it. It doesn't even have a beginning to it. It's eternal. For the conditioned jiva, we cannot conceive of eternality. It's completely beyond our senses. It's achintya. We have no experience in this world of anything eternal. There's nothing that we can point at and say, oh, this is eternal. If we understand our spirit soul, that is eternal. But outside of that, we have no experience of eternality. But this astakam has been described clearly as eternal. So it has no beginning, no end, no depth, no width. It's completely eternal, boundless. So Krishna's earrings, his Makara-shaped earrings, are kissing his cheeks and on his beautiful face. Yet another meaning of Lasat Kundalam is those 2 Makara-shaped earrings have achieved the celebrated fortune of kissing Sri Krishna's cheeks and are therefore the most exalted of all ornaments. So the ornaments have become exalted by kissing Krishna's cheeks. Not that Krishna's cheeks are exalted because of the earrings, the other way around. Consequently, simply by mentioning Sri Krishna's earrings, the special fortune of all other ornaments adorning his various limbs is implied. So everything is enhanced by Krishna's beauty, Krishna's splendorous beauty. In this pastime in particular, this is such a remarkable, Krishna, he's done such a naughty thing. Oh my God, in any household, if a young child was caught doing what Krishna did, they would be scolded dramatically. And Mother Yashoda, the most abundant form of Vatsalya prem, she's performing this pastime out of her immense love for Krishna, even though she's so entirely captivated by his beauty. But the immense affection and Vatsalya prem that is going to be described and be understood by the sadhak when he's reading through here for Mother Yashoda's prem is really exalted. So this is an important appreciation to understand here. For this reason, Satyabrat Muni is indicating, I'm offering obeisances to that personality whose bodily luster beautifies his earrings. In other words, Sri Krishna's limbs even beautify their own ornaments. For this reason, the gopis have said, Trailokya Shobhagam Idam Cha Nirakshya Rupam Yad Godvija Druma Nriga Pulakani Abaran. And this is from the 29th chapter of the 10th canto. We've gone way beyond the 9th chapter where the Leela is being described. So Sanatana Goswami is referencing his beauty that is implied in further chapters than the 9th chapter. This is saying, Dear Krishna, as a result of beholding your beautiful form, which has enhanced the fortune of the three worlds, even the bodies of the cows, birds, trees, deer, and others have erupted with horripilation. Is it at all surprising then that your beautiful form bewilders us? The gopis are saying this. This is the gopis speaking. And then also, while Uddhav is describing Krishna's beautiful form to Vidura in the 3rd canto, he describes Vishnu Panam Shasvya Swasya Cha Sobhaganda De Param Padam Bhushana Bhushanangam. This is from the 3rd canto, 2nd chapter. Krishna's form is so captivating that even he is astonished when he sees himself. So we hear about this in the nature of Sachinandan Gaurahari, because this is seeing his own beautiful form inspires him to taste that form. And he can only taste that form with Sri Radhika's Bab, who is experiencing that form like no one else. Mother Yashoda, she will experience the beauty of Krishna to a certain degree, but Radha's prem is higher than Mother Yashoda's prem. So already we're considering what is higher than this Vatsalya prem of Mother Yashoda's. It's actually Radhika's. So Radhika is experiencing the total sweetness of Krishna's form. And Krishna, he wants to experience that taste himself. He himself is fascinated by his own beauty. So this is the reason. This is his desire. Shiradaya pranaya mahima kidrisho vanaiva sadvena adbhuta madhurima kidrisho sokyam kasyam mad anubhavta kidrisham vedibhav. These 3 desires that Krishna has that are fulfilled in the manifestation of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are going to be able to taste this sweetness within himself. So this is a reminder of Chaitanya, because without Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy, we would not even be reading this today. We would not even be understanding the nature of Madhurya Prem. Prior to Mahaprabhu and Madhavendra Puripad, there was no clear indication of Madhurya Prem spoken practically. Jaidev Goswami speaks something, but he can't speak that Krishna is surrendering his peacock crown and flute at the lotus feet of Sri Radhika. Smaragarala Kandanam, Mama Sirasi Vandanam, Dehi Palapalava. He couldn't write this line. So Krishna himself comes to write this line. So Krishna wants to taste that beauty himself. So how beautiful is it that even that Supreme Lord, that Shaktiman, wants to taste his own beauty? So this is what's being described. And now we come to a third consideration that Sanatana Goswami is giving us. Next, Satyabrat Muni shows the extraordinary excellence of Sri Krishna by describing his special associates present with him in Gokul. So now we're bringing in all the other associates of Gokul. It's not just exclusively Krishna running away, but now there's a hint about the Brijbasis. Gokule Brajamanam. How splendid it is when Sri Krishna is in Gokul, Gokule, the home of the Gopas, the Gopis, the cows, the calves, and others. In this place, which is particularly befitting, he manifests the exceptional supremacy, Brajamanam, of his pastimes, which he has never manifested anywhere else. Never anywhere else has this Madhurya. If we scroll through our Srimad Bhagavatam, if we come through the history of the Manvantaras from Swayambhuva Manu, coming through the other Manvantaras, and the different ages even just becoming locally. In Satya Yuga, there were 4 particular qualities. This Sohrid, friendly to all. There was remember those qualities? Those 4 qualities. Sohrid, just gone from my mind at the moment. So the 4 qualities: Niravaha, free from envy; Satyam, fully truthful. There's another 4th quality. Got it? So there's these 4 incredible qualities which would be very conducive for a wonderful sattvic atmosphere. But what was the degree that they could connect with the Supreme Lord in Satya Yuga, in the previous Satya Yuga, in this age? It was only like Parameshvara or Vaikuntanath or these personalities. These were the personalities who, the avatars in Satya Yuga, they were all Aishwarya avatars. The same in Treta Yuga. The same in Treta Yuga. So yes, these 4 qualities, Shantaha, peacefulness; Niravadaha, non-envy; can't even read it. Sudrit, friendly with all; and Samaha, equipoise, fully equipoise. These 4 qualities are there in Satya Yuga, but the Madhurya of the incarnations was not. It's only in this Kali Yuga that this Madhurya Ras is actually opened up because of Mahaprabhu's manifestation. Even in Dwapara Yuga, there was only one good quality, this Jignasapaha. Everyone was inquiring about who is that Supreme Lord. So try and understand the historical context also of the remarkable appearance of this Madhurya conception embodied in this Astakam of Damodarashtakam. The beauty of the relationship between Krishna and Mother Yashoda. Krishna has been so exceptionally naughty by breaking that churning, that yogurt pot, and then running away from his mother, feeding the monkeys. His mother had risen early in the morning to make special yogurt and butter because her son was stealing so much yogurt and butter from other gopis' houses. So she wanted to make her particular offering to Halala as sweet and as beautiful as she could. She had her own 6 special cows that she would feed gur to, and special grasses to produce a very sweet milk, and then carefully churning that. She'd already sent all the general household servants away because it was near Diwali and they were celebrating there. So she'd sent them all home so she could personally do it herself. She thought with her own mood, she will make this so sweet. And she dedicated her whole consciousness to making this sweet, sweet butter for Krishna. And Krishna's just broken this butter pot, spread it all over the floor. So Mother Yashoda She's got every right, in a sense, to actually chastise her son. And Krishna, as the Supreme Lord, has every right to object. So it's a tremendous pastime. As we get more and more deeply into it, I'm just throwing some hints out. We all know the pastime. It's absolutely immaculate, the pastime, how it unfolds. But today, personally, before we come to Srila Gurudev's Tika, I'm just scrolling through Sanatana Goswami's Tika to make a prelude to Srila Gurudev's Tika, which takes it even deeper. So now Sanatana Goswami is bringing in the conception, the appreciation of Gokula Brajamanam, all the other residents of Vrindavan, and how splendid is Krishna amongst them. This is also described in various places in Shastra. In the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is described as follows: Sri Krishna, for whom mystic yogis prepare a seat in their purified lotus-like hearts, appeared as the reservoir of all beauty, unequaled within the three worlds. He accepted a seat offered by the gopis and was worshipped by them. When he sat in their midst, he appeared even more splendorous. So Sanatana Goswami is bringing in all this, the references to the final conclusion of this Astakam, which is going to result in a full Madhurya mood. So then finally, in his Tika here, Srila Sanatana Goswami, he's saying, now in the remainder of this line, beginning with Yashoda, as well as the whole next verse, Sri Satyabrat Muni affirms the unparalleled excellence of his worshipable Lord by describing his extraordinary pastimes. So his extraordinary pastimes, Rudantam Muhur Netra Yugram Jantam. This is going to be described in the following verse. As I said at the beginning, it's an escalation of moods, of barbs that are coming through. And this first verse is establishing, first of all, the Mangalacharyan, the Tattva, and now it's straight away going into the Leela. And the aspect of the Leela is being described as beauty. This beauty of Krishna's form is so captivating. So this is what we're appreciating at this point. And now we're coming into the last line of this first verse. Due to its surrounding context, Yasodaya means from his mother Sri Yashoda. The meaning is Bia, is that Sri Krishna feared being punished for breaking the earthen pot of butter, as well as raiding its contents and making other types of mischief. A pot of butter had been hung from the ceiling, high above the ground for protection, but Krishna had climbed upon an overturned grinding mortar and was stealing butter from it. The meaning of ulukal is when he saw his mother coming with a stick in her hand, he immediately leapt from the grinding mortar. And Dvanam ran away very quickly. So this is the personality of Godhead, and he's running away from his mother with a stick. So the contrast between an Aishwarya aspect and the sweetness of Krishna is so much brought out in this pastime, that Krishna, that Shaktiman, is running away from his mother out of abject fear. And it's real fear. It's not that he's pretending, because we hear in the 8th chapter of the 1st canto how Queen Kunti, she is bewildered when she hears that Mother Yashoda has bound Krishna. How can you bind the Supreme Personality of Godhead when he holds within his belly this udara, dam udara? Udara means belly. Damo means bound, rope. So his belly, the entirety of the universe, has been bound by Mother Yashoda. Queen Kunti cannot comprehend this because she's in full Aishwarya, a Dwarkavasi. She can't comprehend it. So all these topics pertaining to Aishwarya and Madhurya, they come to the surface in this first verse even. The sadhak, he has to appreciate fully this distinction between Aishwarya and Madhurya. We've spoken so many times about this distinction. We went the other day to Bailvan, and we spoke at length this distinction between Aishwarya and Madhurya. And here in this Ashtakam, immediately we're challenged to appreciate this distinction. Krishna, the embodiment of all in existence, is running away from his mother out of fear, and it's not a pretend fear. It's a real fear. It's a genuine fear that he's feeling. He's experiencing that. Seeing her son fleeing after being caught making mischief, Mother Yashoda ran after him. She ran much faster than he did and seized him from behind. This is another enormous teaching, that in order to catch Krishna, we must be more enthusiastic than Krishna is to come to us. We are always praying, crying for Krishna's mercy, Krishna's mercy. In one stage of our bhajan, our sadhana, we're depending on Krishna's mercy. But actually that mercy has to be dependent on our enthusiasm, because we understand finally in the teachings of when Mother Yashoda is binding Krishna and his two fingers too short every time. What do these two fingers represent? Kripa, which means mercy, and chesta. Chesta is my effort. So these two aspects must be there in the sadhak's journey. He must be depending on Krishna's mercy as well as depending on his own enthusiasm to incur that mercy. You understand? It's got to be both. We heard the other day of the kitten philosophy and the monkey philosophy. The kitten is being carried in the mouth by the cat mother and doesn't do anything, just is moved around from place to place by the mother. Whereas the monkey understanding is hanging on to the monkey, to the mother. So that the effort of the monkey. So which of the two schools of philosophy are we following? And this is described in the second chapter, I think it is. Second verse, yes. This is described. But the point I'm making, I'm not going into that point at the moment. We'll discuss it tomorrow or when we next discuss it. But the point I'm making is the chesta and the kripa. So Krishna is going to give us mercy, but we have to deserve that mercy, we can say. Krishna's mercy is causeless. Without our even deserving it, mercy will come. But when the mercy does come, how will we capitalize on it, so to speak? Many times devotees describe to me the most incredible fortune they've had in their lives in different circumstances. But I often respond, well, how are you going forward with that mercy? We can't just sit back on that mercy and expect it to just go on, etc. We have to endeavor constantly to please Sri Guru, to please our Guru Varga. Without that, mercy is only coming from Sri Guru. Krishna's mercy is coming through Guru. But what is our reciprocation with that mercy when it comes upon us? How are we able to reciprocate? I'm sure many of us listening today, we're in the thick, almost halfway through the month of Kartika. So many miraculous occurrences must have gone on for all of us. Because if we're listening to my Gurudev's explanations about the different locations in Vrindavan, if we're immersing ourselves in something of Braj and something of Braja Prem, Braja Mandal, and all the great personalities traveling in Braja Mandal, in Krishna's pastimes, something will have already generated. But now how are we going to utilize that to go forward? So our own enthusiasm, this utsaha, must be caught up, our own greed. This is the path of Raganuga Bhakti. This greed must become prominent. Or is that Krishna Bhakti Rasa Bhavitamati Kriyatam Yatitalak Tatralonium Apimulyam Ekalam Janma Koti Sukriti Lapite. This greed, if we can sense this greed anywhere, we must grab it. So just finally here, in this commentary, it's talking about she ran much faster than he did and seized him from behind due to her greed. By describing that she ran much faster than Sri Krishna with the words Atyanta Tata Drutya, Sri Satyavrat Muni alludes to the exceptional beauty of Mother Yashoda's breasts, hips, and full-figured body, and also indicates her special affection for her son, because her affection is greater for her son than her son's is affection for her even. The use of the loving address Gopya instead of Yashodaya signifies that only those who are born in cowherd families have the great fortune of seeing these pastimes. Furthermore, by saying Paramrishta, that she caught him from behind, Sri Satyavrat Muni indicates Sri Krishna's special affection for Mother Yashoda. In other words, he is declaring that Sri Krishna is Bhakta Vatsal. He has particular affection for his devotees, so this is his reciprocation. It is also beneficial to carefully study the following verse from the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. I'll just read the translation. Our time is running a little short now. As slender, wasted Yashoda chased Sri Krishna, her pace was slowed down by the weight of her large swaying hips. As she ran after him, her hair loosened and the flowers that were woven into her braid fell on the ground, as if following behind her. Despite all this, she continued to chase Krishna and at last caught hold of him from behind. This is remarkable. This is what Satyavrat Muni is giving us in this first verse. It's so packed. It's so completely packed. So I've just touched the very peripheral. And Srila Gurudev, when he begins to describe, he goes so extensively into the beauty, this angi, which is the beauty. So our beloved Sri Bhaktivedanta Vaikanas Maharaj is going to carry this through with Srila Gurudev's commentary on the same first verse, but he'll read us with Srila Gurudev's commentary. Shri Damodarashtakam ki jai, Anantakota Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Gopinna Hari Hari Bol. Panchakalpa.
Jai Mataji.
Patilam Pavnilo Vaishnavin.
Thank you for actually what Maharaj has done is what we're going to be doing over and over and over. Let me offer my Mangala Charana first, please. Agyana Timarandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshura Militanjena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Gurave Gaura Chandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadabhaktaya Namo Namaha Yam Pravajantamanupeta Apeta Krityam Rapayano Vedaha Katara Ajuhava Putreti Tan Mayataya Tadavo Binedus Tam Sarvabhutam Hridayam Munimanatusmi Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaivanarotamam Devim Saraswatam Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudirayat Bhaktya Vina Parada Lakshay Kiptashtakamari Tarangamadye Kripa Maitvam Sharanam Prapanna Brinde Namaste Charanara Tavevasmi Najivami Tvayavina Iti Vigyaya Radhe Tvam Nayanam Charanandike Vancha Kalpa Tarubhascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Okay, so we are going to begin by offering our most humble obeisance unto the lotus feet of our beloved Gurus, unto Sri Guru Pada Padmanithalita Bhavishta, Om Vishnu Pada Stotar Sat Sri Srimad Abhaya Charanavinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada, and Sri Guru Pada Padmanithalita Bhavishta, Om Vishnu Pada Stotar Sat Sri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, unto our exalted Rupanuga Guru Varga, all the assembled Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis. So, Chaitanya Maharaj has very nicely given us the platform that Srila Bhakti Keshav Maharaj has established, the guidelines for studying and understanding this Sri Damodarashtakam, this eternal great, great prayer. And then Sri Sanatana Goswami gives his commentary. He considered it so important that he made a separate commentary, one of the first things that was written by our Goswamis. And then, of course, Srila Gurudev, Sanatana Goswami's was Dig Darshani and Tika, and Gurudev gave the Dig Darshani Vriti, that which follows and illuminates the commentary of Sri Sanatana Goswami. And as Sri Dhanamraj has said, that Gurudev would speak on this every single year. Right? And he pointed out that for those who would hear successively, it never got old or boring. Oh, Gurudev's talking about this again. Rather, every year, somehow you would be hearing it, and in many ways, it would be so fresh, it would be almost like for the first time, because you'd be getting newer and newer realizations. And this is not just the experience of the conditioned soul progressing through the stages of sadhana. We know that the Bhagavatam was given to Lord Brahma in a condensed way, in 4 verses, Chaturshloki, right? And he passed this on to Narad Muni. And as Maharaj mentioned before, that Narad Muni then inspired Vedavyas to reveal the entirety of the Bhagavatam, because even though he had presented so many extraordinary literatures, including Vedanta Sutra, all the Puranas, even exalted Puranas like Padma Purana, with so much Radha Krishna Leela, the speciality of the Bhagavatam had not been revealed yet, right? Complete, spotless glories of the Lord, and ultimately the spotless love of the Brajbasis, and ultimately the speciality of the love of the cowherd boys, higher than that, that of Mother Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj, and then ultimately the gopis. And so Vedavyas went into meditation and indeed compiled this and this extraordinary literature. And then he spoke it to his son Shukadev, right? Who is none other than the parrot of Srimati Radhika, who had been ordered by Radha and Krishna to stay in this world after they left, to convey the mystery and the deeper understanding of these teachings, right? And so there's a whole pastime how he's in the parrot form and chased by Lord Shiva, entered into the womb of Vedavyasa's wife, and then emerged as the great sage Shukadev, right? But it's described by Jiva Goswami in the Sandarbhas that when Shukadev Goswami sat before Maharaj Parikshit and all the assembled sages and spoke the Bhagavatam, Narad and Lord Brahma were also there, his guru and his param guru, right? But when they heard the Bhagavatam from his lips, Jiva Goswami says it was as if they were hearing it for the very first time, because his realizations actually exceeded theirs. Even though we know that Narad has a special form as a gopi, in the form that he is in as Narad Rishi, he is a worshiper of Sankarshan, of Lord Narayan, right? So he's not privy in the same way to the taste and the details of the special ras in Vrindavan. So until he heard it from Shukadev, it was very new and wonderful and extraordinary. And Vedavyas also. He is, sometimes Vedavyas is a empowered jiva in this manifestation. He's actually a special form of Lord Narayan himself. So Ras is tasted and experienced in the alambana, the foundation, by the Vishaya and the Ashraya, right? Ashraya or Vishaya means the object of love, Krishna himself, and Ashraya is the abode of love. And as Maharaj explained, Ashraya, headed by Srimati Radhika, has a different experience than the Vishaya, right? So Vedavyas did not, he witnessed the pastimes, he recorded them, he tasted them, but not like the devotees, right? So that's why it had to be handed over to Shukadev Goswami, because the Bhagavatam, just like this Damodarashtakam, it's a progressive description of the nature of God, theological evolution of conception, right? And all the different chapters describe more and more about the aspects of God, Bhagavan, but along with that are those devotees that worship the Lord in his different incarnations. So actually what we're being taught is the development and evolution of bhakti. We're being taught, the different devotees are being taught, right? Step by step by step by step. And ninth canto comes to Lord Ram, which is the closest that we get to Krishna Lila, human-like Narvat Lila, human-like pastimes. And a lot of what Lord Ram did was quite sweet, but still it was infused with Aishwarya Gyan. This is God. Although there were many specialty aspects in that Leela, which attract even the devotees of Radha and Krishna. Our Gurudev was very attracted to Ram Leela. He had been raised in that way. And one time, one of his disciples asked him, Gurudev, you've told us many, many times that in our practice and in our meditation on Krishna Leela, we come to the point where we focus only on our own Ishtadev. Right? And yet you seem to be so enthralled with Ram Leela. You describe it so beautifully and very differently than anyone we've ever heard from. Because when Gurudev would speak about it, it would be infused with so much madhurya and the mood of separation and love in that way. And he answered, yes, but when I think of this Leela, I think of Ram as my Krishna and Sita as my Radhika. So he sees them tasting their relationship in a different way, but he always sees Radha and Krishna. And when you come to the 10th canto, right, the 10th, the Bhagavatam itself, it begins, and this is where Gurudev's purports begin, it begins with explanation that all of the avatars that we had heard about in the previous cantos, the origin of all of them is Krishna himself. Ete changsa kalak pungsa Krishna stu Bhagavan Svayam. Indriyari Vyakulam Lokam Hridayanti Yuge Yuge. Right? All these incarnations were previously described. They're expansions of the Purusha avatar, Karnadakshay Vishnu, and he is coming from Krishna. Krishna is the origin of all of them. Right? And then Gurudev quotes Lord Brahma himself, the original speaker of all the Vedas. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha. Those first two lines mimic Namam Ishvaram Satchitananda Rupam, right? That same Krishna, Satchit Ananda Vigraha. And Gurudev gives an elaborate description of Sat, Chit, and Ananda and how they manifest in the form of Krishna, the very Vigraha, complete embodiment of those, right? But then Anadir Adir Govinda. The origin of all is this Govinda. And Govinda is a name of Krishna in Vrindavan, right? Especially we relate that name to the Leela of Govardhan. Govinda means the nurturer, the protector of Vrindavan itself, of the cows, of the gopas, of the gopis, right? He's Sarvakarna Karnam, the origin of all. And then he quotes many, many other verses, because there are a sequence of verses in the Bhagavatam. The first is by Lord Brahma, when Lord Brahma in the 14th chapter sees the Lord and declares him to be the Supreme Lord, but he also describes his beauty in very beautiful ways, which exceed even the beauty of his original Ishtadev, Garbhodakshai Vishnu. Right? But then he acknowledges, oh, you are that same personality. You are the source of my father. And then there are verses by the Mathura Ramanis, who we spoke about yesterday, and then verses by the gopis in Venugit, and then in the subsequent chapters of Rasa Leela. All of these verses explaining Krishna's beauty in more and more extraordinary ways, and as Maharaj explained, tasted in more and more extraordinary ways by the qualification of the different devotees, right? So this Damodarashtakam, it relates to chapter 9 in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, right? Now, as we mentioned, up until now, up until the 10th canto, the Bhagavatam, the first canto gives an overview of everything, and we hear about Krishna in the first canto, certainly. But after that, it talks about Krishna in his different avatar incarnations, right? And there's reference to him sometimes. Uddhava, Maitreya, they're speaking about him, but mostly it's going step by step. So then when we get to the 10th canto, it begins describing Krishna saying, I'm going to appear, right? And then praised by the demigods, right? And then the birth of the Lord, right? But that's described first in Mathura. And then even when he's taken to Vrindavan, the first pastimes described are still filled with powerful pastimes. There's reference to his beauty, his childlike, there's some descriptions of that, but woven in very strongly are pastimes which indicate that that personality who appeared in Mathura, he's still there in Vrindavan. He's the fully powerful Supreme Lord, even though he's appearing like a small child. And the speciality of bhakti, as tasted by the Brajbasis, it's hinted at, but it really begins to show itself in this 9th chapter, in this Damodar Leela, this binding of Lord Damodar. Because here we begin to see, in one sense, the supremacy of Mother Yashoda, right? The supremacy of her love that can actually control Krishna in almost every way, right? Almost every way. And that had never been shown before. He couldn't be controlled by Vasudeva and Devaki, couldn't be controlled by the demigods, can't be really completely controlled even by his cowherd boyfriends. It's described in Jaiva Dharma, the speciality of the love of, or the bhavs of the cowherd boys and Krishna is that they actually experience the same bhavs. They have an equality there, a confidentiality of equality. Krishna and the cowherd boys, they're the same. So sometimes they can defeat Krishna, sometimes Krishna defeats them, right? But they're more or less equal. But when we come to Mother Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj, she is his mother, right? And so she has a special kind of love. And it's described in the Chaitanya Charitamrita and Srila Prabhupada's purports in that he describes that speciality as being one of maintenance, that they're the protectors, the nurturers, the guides, the educators. They're responsible for the protection, the growth, the development, the welfare of their dependent child. And her role in Vrindavan, even though we see that ultimately when we study the love of the gopis, it surpasses hers in so many ways, but even the gopis revere and honor Mother Yashoda, and Mother Yashoda has that same kind of affection for them that she has for her own dear child. If you've read the beautiful pastime in Chamatkara Chandrika, the box pastime, right? Where Mother Yashoda's packing up a gift, right? A gift box, and Krishna's asking, who's this for? And it's a beautiful conversation, but she basically says, oh, this is for some special girl. He thinks it's for him. No. Well, who is this girl? Krishna has to pretend he doesn't know. And when she speaks the name of Radha, the daughter of Vrishabhanu and Kirtida, her dear friends, who she says she has the same affection for her that she does for him. And this girl all good qualities, everything that we talk about being the embodiment of perfection in womanhood, it shines in its most resplendent way in Radhika herself, that she is the perfection of femininity, right? And so, and there are descriptions in some songs we read and other pastimes when Mother Jashoda will greet Lalita and some of these other friends of Radha, how she'll take their head, their forehead, and press it against her own in a form of deep, deep affection. Oh, my darling daughter. And arrange for them to do beautiful seva for Krishna. So they depend on Mother Jashoda. Actually, so much of Madhurya Ras is dependent on the arrangements made by Mother Jashoda. She invites them early in the morning when ordinarily they wouldn't have that opportunity. Come and cook for Krishna, overcoming many obstacles to do so, and many, many other pastimes. But I want to get into some of the things that Gurudev is emphasizing. There's way too much here to cover in just a short period. When we were reading this in our class, it took us 4 days just to read Gurudev's commentary and to comment on it. Right? But there are a couple of things that follow in what I was trying to explain. And it starts out with, why did this Leela take place? And one reason is what Raj mentioned, that other gopis are coming to Mother Jashoda to complain, right? Because Krishna's going to their houses, he's sneaking in, he's stealing their butter, he's teasing their children, he's pinching their babies, he's destroying items in their storerooms, he's even passing urine in them sometimes, right? Creating so much mischief. And contrary to thinking that they're disturbed, they're actually hiding and waiting for him to come, right? Because he's in the house of Mother Jashoda. He has to sneak out to do this. And they're so happy when he comes because they have love for him even more than their own children. He's like their son also. So they're so happy to see these pastimes. And when they go and describe them in such detail to Mother Jashoda, it appears they're complaining, but they're actually thinking, poor Jashoda, she doesn't get to see such sweet, sweet pastimes. So in the guise of complaining, we'll describe them to her and share them with her. And Mother Jashoda is also relishing these pastimes. It appears that, she's getting disturbed and she wants to punish her son perhaps, but what is her real feeling? Their love for my son is even more than mine. Otherwise, why would he go to their houses? Is my milk not good enough? The milk of our cows, the sweets I make, the butter that we churn? See, what does it do? It excites a desire to increase her service. She becomes inspired by their descriptions and by their love, not envious, inspired, which is a teaching thing for us. This is what Srila Prabhupada was always trying to teach us, the meaning of transcendental competition. But we didn't really understand it. We're not yet nirmat saranam satam, right? Bhagavatam is meant to be relished by the nirmat saranam satams, those satam who are completely free of envy. And by hearing Bhagavatam, those kinds of persons, what sadyo hridya varudate chakirti shushishabis takshanat, immediately by hearing these pastimes, prem comes into their heart. But we still have some envy, right? But when we hear about Mother Jashoda and her friends just glorifying the fortune of each other, we want that mood to be in our heart as well. And when Gurudev describes Mother Jashoda, if you've ever read the Bhakti Rasayan in his purports, he says, when I think of the love of Mother Jashoda, I become fearful to try to describe it. It's so high, so extraordinary. Not so much commentary on it. It has its own speciality, which is very, very amazing. She's the mother of us all. And she is the mother of the object of love for everyone. So everybody honors and is controlled by the love of Mother Jashoda, including the gopis, including Jatila. Jatila is also controlled by that love. Right? So they complain. So what does Mother Jashoda do? She says, oh, I should churn this milk myself, churn this yogurt myself, make these sweets myself. And as Maharaj described, the milk from these very special cows, she begins to describe. And then Gurudev gives a little background about this story. It's early in the morning. And this is where Gurudev always enjoyed so much. Because when he begins to describe her churning, he goes into a joyful, trance-like mood. And he gets a big smile and he begins to sing, Govinda Damo, and his arms are going back and forth like he's churning. Because not just Mother Jashoda churns, all the gopis churn, including the young gopis. And they all sing this song, right? And he goes, Govinda Damo Dadamadaveti, Govinda Damo Dadamadaveti. And all the devotees in the audience, I know Tridani Maharaj is thinking of this right now, sitting there on the stage or in the audience, everybody, or all around the world, Gurudev would sing this song. And everybody would burst spontaneously into that same song and feel that love that Gurudev is tasting and sharing with us, right? And hearing this pastime, reading it, that mood is invoked. It's preserved in his words here. And by reading them and praying for it to be released, she's churning the butter, she's churning our hearts. And Gurudev says, everything in Vrindavan is so melodic and so beautiful. The sound of the churning rod it makes, it's like a mridanga. Diktan, 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 right? Anyone who doesn't worship Radha and Krishna, their life has been wasted. They're no better than an animal. The bangles on her arms are beating in perfect rhythm, like very expertly played kartals. But not like our kartals, because these are jewels, Chintamani jewels. What kind of sound are they producing? Remember when we read the song glorifying Srimati Radhika, her ankle bells and the bells around her waist, like swans singing the Vedic mantras. These kartals are making the most beautiful sound, singing to accompany Mother Jashoda's beautiful remembrances. And hearing this sound, baby Krishna on the bed, he begins to wake up. And this is a change in the routine. Usually Mother Jashoda is with him every morning. And he wakes up and she's right there and she immediately nurses him. But today, because she had this desire to make this butter, she's not there. And Krishna's, what? He's looking around. And he's very hungry. What's he hungry for? He's hungry for love. And he's hearing this sound, the song of love of Mother Jashoda, and it makes him even more hungry, more desirous. And he has to go to meet his mother. But he's on the high bed. And so he rolls over to the side, and he's only a baby still, 2 years old, 2.5. So he's got little baby short legs, short arms, right? Shorter than his, the form develops slowly. So he has to ease himself over the bed and let his legs down a little bit and then slide down and then touch the floor. And he's still half asleep, right? And his sleepy eyes, he's rubbing his eyes with his beautiful, delicate lotus hands, and he's stumbling towards where his mother is, like people do when they first wake up, right? They kind of groggy, and he's groggy, but he's drawn to her, hearing her singing. And he comes, and she doesn't even notice him yet because she's so absorbed in thoughts of her son and what she's going to do with this milk and how she's going to love him and serve him. And so he's pulling on her sari, and then he grabs the churning rod itself, the rope, to stop it. And then she sees him. Oh, and the object of her song is right before her, hungry and dependent. She picks him up with such love and parts her bodice and begins to nurse him. And there they are, absorbed in the most beautiful, loving exchange of a small child and the mother. Her love being poured out in the form of her milk, and his acceptance of that love, greedily sucking that milk from her breast. Pure love. Just beautiful expression. But then what happens? The milk. The milk is thinking, where's my service now? Mother Jashoda, she was going to make sweets for me. She's the milk is in the next room. She's churning the butter in a separate room, and it's on the stove. If she's giving him milk, he has an unlimited belly, but she has unlimited milk. There's nothing for me to do. Alas, alas, I should give up my life. And it begins to boil over. And Mother Jashoda sees that. What does she do? She runs. She puts down Krishna, right? And Krishna doesn't want to be put down. He's enjoying this exchange of love. He's sucking her breast, and when she tries to put him down, he holds as tight as he can to her breast and wraps his little legs around her body as much as he can. And he's 2.5 years old now. When he was a teeny weeny baby just born, and Putana tried to remove him from her breast, she couldn't do it. Putana was as strong as Kamsa, 10,000 elephants. And when that baby was holding on to her breast, she couldn't remove him with all her strength. And now he's older and bigger and stronger. And Mother Jashoda, with one hand, takes him, puts him down on the ground very easily and runs to the milk. How does she do that? He's stronger than ever. But her strength comes from her love. You know how Gurudev always quotes, controlled by love, right? Controlled by love. Love is, the saying, love makes the world go round. Love is the force which energizes everything. And so she easily, her parental affection controls Krishna. She puts him down. Doesn't mean he likes it, though. He wants to taste that love, but she is going to the milk. Why is she doing that? Is the milk more important than Krishna? Well, there's a mystery here, because the devotee, and we should take this lesson as well. The devotee, now here again, just to reiterate this point, this 9th chapter is now revealing secrets about love, about the kind of bhakti that is experienced in Braj, which makes Krishna's Leela there supreme. If you don't know about the love of the Brajbasis, you can't distinguish between Krishna in Dwarka and Krishna in Vrindavan. It just seems like the same person. Many devotees don't realize the difference. The difference is in the way the devotees taste and exchange love. Krishna in Dwarka can't be controlled, right? He couldn't be controlled by his mother and father. He wanted to be taken to Vrindavan. The whole Leela was, take me to Vrindavan. That's where I want to be. I want that love. Even his queens, even Satyabhama could not control him. Even when she showed man, sometimes a little bit, but ultimately he could tell her, come immediately, give up your man, or I'll send you back to your father. And she would have to come. Right? But in Braj, Krishna's controlled by love and special pastimes. And so without understanding, this is where it's introduced more than anywhere else up to this point, when we understand this love of Mother Jashoda. So she puts him down. But he's in a peak, a little frustrated. Oh, and she goes to protect the milk. Why? Because that milk is meant for the happiness and the service and the pleasure of her dear son. She can give him her breast milk, but she's not going to make rubbery, sandesh, para, burfi out of her breast milk, right? Shrikhan out of yogurt. They have this special service, the service of the milk, the service of the cows, her special cows. So she goes to protect that milk. Don't boil over. I've come to protect you. And we as devotees are always trying to protect and nurture the service of others as well. That's why Guru is the topmost devotee, because he's nurturing and protecting not just other pure devotees, but anyone who has even an inclination towards devotion. They're protecting that. And Mother Jashoda, the mother of all of us. Sometimes when we talk about certain devotees in the Mat, certain historical personalities, they were known to be so affectionate and so protective of the other devotees. They were like the mother. like the mother of the mat. Oh, what name of that beautiful devotee, when he disappeared, our Srila Prabhupada said, oh, I feel the same separation for him that I felt for our Guru Maharaj when he left. He was a little older. He was protecting all the brahmacharis. He
Hari
protected
Seva.
Narahari Vigraha. Right. He was given that title, the very embodiment, Narahari. Thank you, Maharaj. So that all comes from Mother Jashoda, that nurturing mentality. When we have affection for all the devotees, all the followers of our gurus like that, then we know, oh, something is happening in our heart. So she's protecting, but Krishna, no, no. So he becomes mad, breaks the yogurt, right? And there's a whole pastime there. We're going to talk about that pastime as it unfolds. It's going to be repeated many times, but I want to get to this point that Gurudev makes in the purport about this love of Mother Jashoda and how she could bind Krishna with it. Do I have time? Yeah, I have a few moments. Because when Krishna is bound, he appears to become a bit unhappy. When his friends find him, he's weeping. And they try to untie him, but they can't do it because he's tied by Vatsalya Bhav. They're in Sakyaras, they're Bhav. Even Lord Balaram at that point could not untie the knot made by Mother Jashoda. Even he's controlled by her love, right? uh, so the speciality there. It appears here that Krishna is unhappy by her action. She's tied him and he's unhappy. So is this bhakti? What is the speciality of that activity? What is the speciality of that kind of expression of so-called love of a parent? Nowadays, not understanding love, most parents in the modern world now are taught to be completely submissive and permissive to whatever desire your little child has. They're your friends, don't punish them, let them do whatever they want. That's not love. Love means a real parent will guide the child and punish them when they need to be punished so that they won't grow up to be bad people. So they'll know discipline, they'll know right from wrong. So Mother Jashoda had these kinds of motives. And then Gurudev goes into a discussion of what the characteristics of bhakti are that will be described. He quotes this verse, and this is a verse that Gurudev would speak everywhere he went. And if you didn't know this verse, he said, you're not my disciple. One time I remember Srila Dvaita Maharaj was recommending one friend for sannyas. He had just become a sannyas himself. And he said, oh, my good friend, he should be sannyas. And Gurudev went to that good friend, very nice devotee. He's a sannyasi now. But Gurudev said, what is the meaning of pure bhakti? What is the definition? And the devotee was a little stunned. He didn't answer. And Gurudev indicated this Anyabhilashita Shunyam verse, and the devotee really couldn't describe it at that time. Whether his English wasn't good enough or whether he'd never had to do it, takes a little practice. He couldn't do it. Yeah, the foundation. And we were on just outside the mat, Giridhari Gaudiya mat, sitting on a little bench just before we went back in. And Gurudev said, no, you're not ready yet. And the first time Gurudev came to Bangalore and held a program there, I was a new sannyasi, and he called on me to speak on that verse. So everywhere. So the verse is, Anyabhilashita shunyam jnana karmadyanavritam anukulyena krishnanushilanam bhaktiruttamam. And when bhakti is performed without any other desire than the aspiration to bring happiness to Krishna or benefit Krishna, right? When it is not covered by the endeavor to accumulate dry knowledge, result-oriented work, fruit of, reward-seeking activity, or any other practice for attaining a goal unrelated to him, and when it is cultivated solely with a favorable disposition towards him and for his benefit, then it is Uttam Bhakti, supremely pure devotion. Now this book was translated by younger devotees. Generally, when Gurudev would ask us to describe this verse and translate it, he would require that the second part of the verse be given first, right? Because that is the Sarup Lakshan of the verse. In other words, when it is done, that bhakti is activity performed like an unbroken stream of oil being poured from a bottle, and with a favorable, loving disposition for the, unceasingly for the benefit of Krishna. Then, without any separate interest, uncovered by reward-seeking activity or knowledge-seeking and personal liberation, that way. And I remember him correcting us on the stage sometimes if you went in the wrong order. So then Gurudev says that there are two characteristics: that which bhakti is not, right? Uncover, no separate interest, no anyabhilash, and not jnana karmad yanavritam, and not reward-seeking activity covering bhakti, and not knowledge that covers bhakti, right? So he then brings up one very important point. And he says, and here, if you read this in the book, it's on page 25 of this recent translation, it's slightly wrong. When they did the first one, I wrote to the editors and they say, oh, you're right. And then the person who translated it was a new Hindi translator. And when you translate Hindi, it gets a little confusing because their grammar is very different. Things can be in all kinds of different order. So it reads in the book, certain exalted realized personalities have stated that anukulyena means the tendency to perform activities that bring pleasure to Sri Krishna, and that the inclination to please him with a favorable disposition is bhakti. However, if the latter definition is accepted, one of two faults may arise. Now, that's the proper definition, because it includes the favorable disposition. When Gurudev originally spoke it, he said that they describe it, they say that anything that brings pleasure to Krishna is bhakti. He says anyone who does that, that's bhakti. And Gurudev says, no. If you take the definition to mean that which gives pleasure to Krishna as being the sole meaning of bhakti, one of two faults may arise. Some things are encompassed by this definition, which should not be included within a description of bhakti. This is called ativyapti dosha. Dosha means the fault. Ativyapti means overextending the definition. And then similarly, it excludes certain things that should be included within the definition, and that's called avyapti, underextending. So one word is longer than the other. Ativyapti is longer. So it's overextending the definition. Avyapti is a shorter word, right? So it's underextending the definition. That means this. Overextending means like when Chanura and Mushtika were fighting with Krishna in the arena and Baladev, they were taking great pleasure in that activity, right? They were enjoying that because they have Vira Ras. It might have been horrific to see by many of the people in the audience, but Krishna and Balaram are great heroes, so they loved fighting with these massive wrestlers. But was it bhakti? Krishna was happy. Was it bhakti? No, because they were trying to kill him. So how can that be bhakti, right? So just to say that anything that brings pleasure to Krishna is bhakti is an overextension, right? And similarly, if it doesn't appear to give direct pleasure to Krishna, then it can't be bhakti. That's a underextension, because Mother Jashoda tied him up and he appeared not to take pleasure in that. So that wouldn't be bhakti. So you have to add the element of the mood in which the activity is performed. And that becomes the secret of the loving exchanges of all the devotees in Vrindavan, to analyze the subtle nuance of their mood in performing their activity, right? And so the mood of Mother Jashoda was very high. I have to do this act. I'm not inclined to do it, but if I don't do it, he may run away. He's threatened to run away to the forest. He's, he might become a dacoit. Listen, he's lied directly to my face. He said that, he's challenged me, called my dynasties. I come from a dynasty of thieves because she had a relative, Chora Gopa, who her great-great-grandfather, his name was Chora, but he wasn't a thief. He was just a Gopa, right? But he used that to kind of imply that she was the thief, not he. So she had to punish him, right? So Gurudev goes into a very beautiful explanation of that, and that will be discussed more in more detail in future purports. Many of these points are going to be churned over and over, just like Mother showed us churning the milk. These pastimes are going to be churned over and over, and these conceptions. But I have to stop here. We only have 1 minute left. So again, as Tridanda Maharaj has said, how much can we touch on? But we're making a little introduction here. And over time, when we discuss all 8 verses, the development of this conception of bhakti, but Gurudev, Param Gurudev, Sanatana Goswami, they have laid out a general, broad explanation, and then each verse after that, bring up these points step by step in more detail. So we'll stop here. So if I've said something a little wrong, please forgive me. And if I said anything right, it's all because Gurudev has hammered this into us over and over in the sweetest way. All right. So all glories to Srila Gurudev, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Sri Sanatana Goswami, Sri Satyavrata Muni, all the devotees, Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.
That was really, really, really phenomenal. I was watching some videos of Srila Gurudev in Gopinath Bhavan with all of you guys sitting alongside him, speaking on Damodarashtakam, and he spoke with such not just conviction, but so much love when he spoke the Damodar Ashtakam, and it has so much depth. And normally, obviously, you guys have been on Bright Ground with Gurudev, so he would speak from every evening. He would speak something on the Damodar Ashtakam. So to speak in one day, the first verse, and you've done a fantastic. Both of you've done a fantastic job of just getting the raw emphasis on what Gurudev wanted to give us. So I'm really grateful to both of you for doing this program, making it so enlivening and exciting. So I'm very, very thankful to you both. So Jananimar, did you want to say something?
No, it's wonderful. Totally wonderful. We'll carry on. We'll carry on. Verse by verse by verse.
Yes, yes. We will do our duty. We must do it.
So tomorrow we are going on our next part of the program, which is technically our Govardhan Big program, which takes us to Dan Ghati, Ayor, Govindakund, Puchri, and Surbikund. And so tomorrow we have the grace of Sripad Bhaktivedanta Vaikanas Maharaji, Sripad Bhaktivedanta Sadvaiti Maharaji, and Sripad Bhaktivedanta Chudandi Maharaj taking us to this wonderful program tomorrow, Big Govardhan program, the first half tomorrow. So we're really hoping that you all join us there tomorrow. So yeah, there's no kirtan at the end of this one. So unless Tridandi Maharaj or Vaikalas Maharaj wants to say Hare Krishna, you're more than welcome to. And then we'll close class.
Okay, we're going to do our little Guru Puja here now. See, we've got our Radharaman and their Seva Kunj environment. If you can see that teeny little picture there.
It's very beautiful.
Make my picture bigger so they can see that. Because right now it's just that teeny little. Am I big or small?
You're big when you're speaking.
Oh, I'm big. How come I see myself as teeny and everybody else sees it big? I guess that's good. That's my self-conception. I'm very small and insignificant. Good. Keep me small.
I promise you, Maharaj, it's not me.
Yeah, yeah. All right, we gotta run. Thank you, thank you.
Okay.
Gaur
Haribo,
Premanande.
Maharaj. Haribo.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Bol.